Yeah, I grew up on Long Island in New York, and I was actually going to a community college there. It's called Nassau Community College, and I had an arranging teacher in a music class who really took a liking to me, and I kind of looked up to him, and he told me that I should look into the University of Miami because that's where he went to school. And I think that's how things happen quite often in life. When you have a mentor or someone, you know, who's special to you, you kind of maybe want to follow in their footsteps. And so I took a trip down there a couple months later, walked the campus, talked to a few students, and it just seemed like the place to go. When you go to a music college, or I guess when you go away to school, you really have no idea what you're about to experience. And at the time that I was getting ready to go to the University of Miami, my passion was fusion music. About a year or so earlier, I had discovered the Mahavishnu Orchestra. That band changed my life, turned my musical world upside down. I had worn out every groove of the two records that they had, and it was also my schooling in the world of odd time. I go down to Miami, here I am, you know, enrolled as a music student. At the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a drummer or a piano player. They allowed me to study with the jazz piano teacher there, who immediately opened the world up to me in such a way. I had no idea that things work that way. I always thought that in jazz, you play the head of a tune and then it's every man for himself, just a free-for-all jamming, and then being introduced to the concept of 2-5-1s and tritone substitutions and playing in the modes, I was freaking out. So here I was in an improvisation class on piano, and in the class were like 12 or 13 guitarists. They all played fat, hollow-body Gibson guitars, and they all turned the treble to sound like jazz guitarists, and there was one guy who stuck out of the group. He had long blonde hair, and he didn't wear shoes, and he played this bastardized guitar that had the body of a Telecaster, a Stratocaster neck, Gibson frets, and he had more of a twangy sound. So one day, that guy comes over to me, the long blonde-haired guitarist, who I thought was incredible. I didn't know anything about him. Comes over to me and he said, "Somebody told me you play the drums." I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "Can you fill in for the drummer in my band because he just broke his arm surfing?" So I said, "Yeah, sure." I show up to the rehearsal. It turns out to be it's Steve Morse, and this band, which it turns out to be the Dixie Dregs, they're playing all these Mahavishnu covers, and they're doing, you know, Steve Morse original compositions, which sound a little bit like Mahavishnu, and I thought I had died and went to heaven. We weren't even called the Dixie Dregs then. We were called Rock Ensemble No. 2 because we did it for credit as an ensemble. And, you know, once a semester, you had to give a concert for the rest of the musicians in the department. And really, you know, when we graduated, we kind of all looked at each other and said, "So what are you going to do for the rest of your life now?" "I don't know, go to New York, go to LA, go to Nashville. Why don't we give it a shot?" And so we did. You know, in a nutshell, initially shopping our demo at like nearly 30 labels in New York, and then like a month later having the nastiest rejection letters from every label saying, "You're joking, right? You don't sing, you can't tap your foot to your music, you can't dance to it, no commercial potential. Are you guys like on this planet, you know, or what?" Instead of just being dejected and depressed and kind of giving up, we decided, you know what? This music is too cool to just let it at that. And so we got on this little circuit of playing dives around the Southeast, just, you know, playing to nobody. But after like 10 people would show up to see the band they never heard of, and at the end of the night there were 2 people left. They were 2 fanatical Dregs fans for life, and then the next time we'd come back to their city, they brought all their friends. And then we played a show in Nashville, Tennessee at a club called the Exit Inn, just doing our thing, and there, sitting at the bar, drinking a beer. Why he was there, we didn't know, was Chuck Leavell, the keyboard player from the Allman Brothers. He came running up to us and said, "Who are you guys?" And it was because of him that we got signed to our first record deal on Capricorn Records, and then that got the ball rolling. The plan from the get-go with the Dregs was always to get a record deal and certainly be a touring band, but, you know, no, we have to put out records every year, you know, new music every year, and hopefully continue to expand the base of fans. And that's exactly what we ended up doing. You know, I'd say within a year of being out of college, we were signed to Capricorn Records, and 6 months after that, in June of '77, the first record came out, Freefall, and then every year for 6 years, another studio record came out.